Okay, so for a while there you couldn't have been blamed for thinking that Tim Burton had maybe lost a bit of his touch. We love him, but he's had a long run of mediocre movies that climaxed with Dumbo, a film that the director himself hated so much that it almost made him quit the business. However, watching Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, it can't be denied that returning to his old stomping grounds by making a sequel to his first mega hit, Beetlejuice, might have been just what the doctor ordered, with it his most energetic, playful, and creative film in years. So in this one, after the death of her father, Lydia Dietz, once again played by Winona Ryder, returns to her family home in Winter River with her daughter Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, and stepmother Delia, played by Catherine O'Hara, in tow. Once there, she becomes plagued by visions of a certain ghost with the most, who, it has to be said, has some problems of his own to work out. In it, Burton is wise enough to play the hits to a certain extent, as it's not all that different from the original film. Yet by doing a movie that's so deliberately old school, with practical effects, rude humor, and way more gore than you'd expect from a PG-13 movie nowadays, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice almost feels transgressive by how much it plays to the strengths of its director and cast, and discards the trappings of most modern blockbusters. While it's been decades since they played their iconic roles, the three returning cast members, Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara, are as game as ever, with Ryder's Lydia now a celebrity psychic who's somewhat famous for her brushes with the paranormal, even if her own daughter thinks she's a fake. When Jenna Ortega was cast off the strength of Wednesday, which she did with Tim Burton, everyone just assumed that she'd be playing another goth girl riff, and that's kind of the type she's known for nowadays. And she'd be playing a character very similar to her on-screen mother, but here she actually plays a Gantz type, with Astrid a skeptic who has no interest at all in ghosts or the paranormal. Moreover, she despises her mother for saying she communicates with the dead, as her own father passed some years back, and she resents his loss. It's interesting and a heartfelt approach for Burton and his writers, with Catherine O'Hara's Delia also somewhat humanized this time too, but not too much, giving the movie some legit heart. But then again, everyone just wants to see Michael Keaton to some extent, right? Well, they're not going to be disappointed, with Keaton absolutely on fire and never missing a beat in his long-awaited return. Despite being 36 years older, Beetlejuice looks just about the same as he did all those years back, although they did give him a middle-aged punch that Keaton himself doesn't have. And his energy level is just off the charts. In it, he's still obsessed with Lydia and bent on reclaiming her, as she had promised to marry him in the first film. But he's got a problem with his former wife, Monica Bellucci's Dolores, who's now a soul-sucking ghoul who wants revenge, as he killed her many centuries ago in his former life. While Keaton's certainly the show, Burton himself works overtime to deliver a high-energy romp with it as musically driven as the first, including a great sequence where Bellucci stitches herself together to the Bee Gees' Tragedy, and a climax scored by Richard Harris's MacArthur Park that tries to outdo the first movie's Deo sequence. Add to that, Willem Dafoe is a former TV cop now working as a real underworld detective, a scenery-chewing Justin Theroux as the movie's answer to the first film's Otho, and a surprisingly bittersweet and deft handling of the movie's complicated Jeffrey Jones situation, and you've got a sequel that's a whole lot better than any of us were anticipating. Truth be told, I was wary of a Beetlejuice sequel, as I figured that they should just leave well enough alone after 36 years. But once Danny Elfman's score kicked in and I got a look at the returning production designer Bo Welch's sets, I was all in on a sequel that I really had a total blast with. This one was a very, very pleasant surprise, so here's hoping this isn't the last time Burton says Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And I give it a very strong 8 out of 10.
This one's from the heart.